Now it's time to discuss major developments with our special guest, international lawyer and political commentator, Mr. Orhan Amashev. Mr. Amashev, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you very much for a kind invitation.
So the topic at hand today has to do with economic relations between Azerbaijan and the EU. So recently the European Commission has proposed to EU countries a deal with Azerbaijan to increase gas imports and to expand gas pipeline accordingly. What does this draft deal envisage for both parties?
Well, Azerbaijan and European Union are strategic partners. We have cultivated this relationship over the past decades, and any new gas deal that Azerbaijan and European Union are going to conclude is going to address two fundamental issues, amongst many other fundamental issues, but two pivotal issues. First of all, there needs to be a clear understanding that new investment is to be made in relation to the existing pipeline system, Southern Gas Corridor, and in the gas exploration and production. And as a result of this, of course, the gas exports to Europe, they need to be augmented, they need to be increased. And I think from that point of view, from the point of view of those two fundamental objectives, this draft memorandum of understanding, which has been submitted by the European Commission to the member states for their consideration, they fit the bill. This draft memo seems to be up to scratch. What we know at this stage, we haven't received any official information yet, but there have been some reports, and these reports by EU-Observer, by Reuters, and they claim they have seen the document, and on the basis of this we make our own judgment. And also President Ilham Aliyev very recently made an announcement that new gas deal between Azerbaijan and European Union is going to be signed very soon. He said that the bulk of the job has been done and the process is underway, and we know that next week a couple of high-ranking EU officials are coming to Azerbaijan, Ursula von der Leyen, and also the EU Energy Commissioner. So it is very obvious that the wheels are in motion. As to the contents of that particular draft memorandum, it does address those two fundamental issues. It does say that both European Union and Azerbaijan are to consider financing the existing pipeline network systems, but it doesn't say who is going to pay what. So there's no clear, as far as we can tell, as far as it can be ascertained on the basis of the information we have. We don't know whether EU, what percentage of the investment will be made by EU and what percentage by Azerbaijan. We understand that investment risk will be shared. But at the same time, there's a very clear point there. It's about gas export volumes. It does say in the clearest possible way that by 2027, Azerbaijani gas exports to European Union will be doubled. So currently, as we know, the westernmost section of the Southern Gas Corridor, Trans-Adriatic Pipeline, has got the capacity of 10 BCM. Which is a very considerable volume, of course, but it needs to be doubled. And by 2027, it will be doubled. And also, it says a couple of things about climate change objectives of the European Union, because, as you know, any gas deal that Azerbaijan and European Union are going to sign will need to be in line with certain design. So our relationship with Brussels based on logic, on rational considerations. Clearly, European Union has got a very difficult situation in terms of diversifying its gas resources, and they need extra gas. And Azerbaijan has gas, and Azerbaijan wants to augment its energy export capabilities. And it all should be done in line with the climate change objectives. And when it comes to climate change, EU has made a proposal very recently, a couple of years ago. It was about a drastic switch to the green energy. In the light of those circumstances, in that context, there have been some underinvestment in the fossil fuels and the gas sector consequently. And I think that that negatively impacted EU's investment policy in relation to Azerbaijan. But currently, EU does realize that a more incremental, a more steady approach is to be taken, because it will be sheer impossibility to switch to green energy within a couple of years. It will take at least a decade or more than a decade. So in the interim, the best thing to do is to switch to gas, to diversify the gas resources. And Azerbaijan is a very reliable, is a very trustworthy partner, because one of the great things about Azerbaijan is that although Azerbaijan's gas volumes are not really massive compared to, let's say, Russia, and Azerbaijan cannot be considered as a replacement for the Russian gas, but we are reliable and we can play our own role. So from that perspective, I think that this memo is plausible. it does entail lots of positive things, but as I've said at the beginning, it is subject to the assent, approval of all EU member countries. And there could be some alterations, some changes at a later stage. But I believe that the fundamental framework and the spirit of this document will not be changed.
So you mentioned the Russian gas, and I would like to mention that the timing is very not accidental in regards to this memo, because when we look at the current situation in the region, you know, the Ukrainian-Russian tensions and including the relations between Azerbaijan and Armenia at the current stage, how do you think this whole in combination situation in the region will play a role in the draft itself?
Well, this draft memo doesn't say anything about Ukrainian crisis, but your question is absolutely right, because it matters a great deal. There's no need to include this Ukrainian crisis element in that document, but the current problem that EU is facing is fundamentally about EU's ambition to get rid of dependence on Russian gas and to free itself of the shackles of the Russian gas dominance. And therefore the context and content are absolutely critical. It is very clear that Azerbaijan, in terms of the sheer volumes, are not in a position of replacing Russian gas, because if memory serves me correctly, before these sanctions, Russia was sending about 148 BCM per annum. It's a massive volume. Azerbaijan can't replace it. Our current export is 10 BCM, which could be doubled. So we can play our own special role in terms of Western Balkans, in Southeastern Europe, of course, and current 10 BCM goes to Italian interconnector. For example, last year it was 8 BCM. So we can play an important role in terms of energy security of Bulgaria, in Serbia, Greece, Albania, Italy, but we cannot go beyond that. So we do understand, we are very realistic about our ambitions, and Azerbaijani president has made a couple of times very clear that there is no Russian-Azerbaijani competition, and actually there is a Moscow declaration which was signed in February of this year, where one important point is about cooperation in terms of energy. We made it very clear that even in those areas, we made it very clear that we can't compete because the volumes are different, they're not comparable. But at the same time, President Ilham Aliyev in one of his interviews said that even in those areas we will notice that there is an element of competition, we will obviate competition, we will not compete there. But it does not mean that Azerbaijan cannot play an important role for EU energy security in the face of their desire to get rid of Russian dependence. Simply, we will not compete in certain areas. So from that perspective, I think that this document is going to be absolutely critical. It will make sure that Europe takes considerable efforts, it takes considerable measures to ensure that investment is made into Azerbaijan gas exploration, gas production, because a couple of times it has been mentioned, with the gas in the gas industry, the critical thing is to start with investment, because you can't start exploring and producing gas before investment. So investment should be made, and then it will be followed by production and exploration and production, and then it will be pumped into Europe, of course. So that's very critical, because sometimes people are making ridiculous and ludicrous comments that if we do need the gas, do you have some extra gas? It doesn't work like that in the gas industry. And actually this particular point has been clarified in this draft memo. It says that the European Union will be committed to the stable long-term gas supplies, and that means that you agree today and you supply a couple of years later. As long as Azerbaijani-Armenia peace process is concerned, this the document, this gas deal is not about politics, but there is a reference to those points, and I think it's absolutely critical, because as I said, our relationship is a rational relationship. It's about energy security, it's about our mutual interests, but at the same time, of course, we need to respect fundamental things which matter to both of us. And therefore, in this memorandum, it says that both EU and Azerbaijan are obligated to respect each other's territorial integrity. In the case of Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan is obligated to respect territorial integrity of each respective EU country and the sovereignty and so on. And I think it does provide for Azerbaijan certain degree of extra diplomatic leverage in the context of currently undergoing the Azerbaijani-Armenia peace process. As I said, this particular deal is not about politics, it's not about territorial integrity, but that particular provision, I think, that provides Azerbaijan with a sufficient degree of confidence going forward.
Thank you so much for the very informative answers for such a relevant and current topic.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation. I'm looking forward to speaking to you very soon.
Thank you so much. That was all for the week, and we're looking forward to the next weekly highlights. See you soon. Bye.